Hey there, as we wrap up the rest of this year, 2022, we are refreshing some really enjoyable conversations that we've had with other AD professionals of all kinds. This one is very special with Caitlyn Walsh. She is a voice talent and also, well, she'll speak for herself. And as always, don't forget there's a Kindle version of interviews of voice talents who do audio description on Kindle. It's called the ADNA Presents Volume 1. And as always, you can always learn about the credits of all kinds of AD professionals when you go to theadna.org. Again, that's theadna.org. As always, this podcast is for Kevin. Welcome to the Audio Description Network Alliance. Today, we're very happy to have Caitlyn Walsh with us. Thank you so much for joining us, Kate.
Thank you for having me, Roy.
What do you love about audio description?
Well, I love audio description because it creates an inclusive environment for everyone. I know plenty of sighted people that use audio description, actually, and it enhances the television movie experience completely. It helps you become so much more immersed in whatever it is that you're watching or engaging with. It just allows you to become part of that world. And I feel like if something doesn't have it, I'm less likely to view it. I'm less likely to engage with it because I want to feel completely immersed in it.
Very cool. Well, let's flip from being an audio description audience member to your professional role.
I actually started with audio description thanks to my good friend, Roy Samuelson. Hello. I got in touch with Roy through Facebook and I started taking some of his workshops. And then I launched off into doing some trailer work with Kensuke Nakamura. I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that I've had along the way. I've actually been privileged enough to work on a documentary called Wildflower. I've been able to perform some narration for that, and that was very rewarding. I learned so much from doing that. I was able to become completely immersed in the work and just spent 2 days holed up in my house with a microphone and a laptop and guidance when I needed it. It was incredible. It was such a powerful experience because I really felt like I was taking the audio description game into my own hands and getting to do, I had power over what I was doing. I had control of what I was doing, and it made me feel so in touch with audio description. I wasn't just an audience member. I was legitimately creating content, and I felt so good about it, and I still do. I'm so pleased with the work that I've been able to do so far. And going back to it for a second about trailers. Trailers are something that until recently, I've never really seen many trailers with audio description. And that's what I'm able to get involved with now, is giving voice to trailers, because blind people need to know what's going on the screen too during a trailer.
Very cool. Let's go back a little bit to your own creative contribution. That you said you went from workshop to trailers and this feature film documentary. Can you explain some assumptions you had based on the workshop versus the actual experience in either of those?
When I first started in this, I felt concerned. I was worried that this was something that I wasn't going to be able to do. Not necessarily because of any shortcomings in myself, but it was more of just because this seemed so professional and so prestigious and so out of my grasp. It just seemed like something that I wasn't going to be able to get a hold on. But I'm an artist, I'm a musician, and I've done acting before, and I just had to get in that headspace. I had to get in that free creative headspace, and that's what I did. And I don't really know how I got there, but I'm happy I did. I just decided this is something I want. So I went for it, and I love what I'm getting to do now. It's amazing.
Well, it sounds like that confidence came from your experience with, you said headspace, the being an artist, being a musician, being an actor, that all of those professional endeavors contributed to the audio description. Could you name maybe some connection that you had with being an artist or being an actor that helped you do this work, or maybe some differences?
Yes. Well, when I really need to talk to myself, I go sit at my piano. I've played piano since I was 5 years old. And when I really need to have a good, deep conversation with myself, that's where I go. I go and I sit with my instrument. And I was working on a piece And I'm kind of talking to myself in my head saying, you're in your own way. You know, you're in your own way. You can do this. And I've worked with audio recording equipment before. I make my own videos for YouTube, and it's just a silly little side thing that I do. But I've worked with that kind of equipment before. And I thought, how different is this? So you're recording yourself speaking instead of yourself playing. Why do you need to be in your own way about this? Get out of your head and put your feet on the ground and figure this out. You can do this. And it is different because you are recording yourself speaking rather than playing an instrument. So you might have slightly less control. I've noticed that, at least in my personal opinion, I have a little less control over my voice sometimes than I do over what my fingers are playing on a piano or a guitar or something. But it's also similar to performing vocals for a piece, which I take singing lessons. I've been singing for a long time. And it's very similar because sometimes your voice does things that you might not be prepared for. But sometimes that something can be cool. It might sound way better than you anticipated.
Let's talk more about this playing, in the context of playing the piano. I'm wondering about some similarities to audio description. Is there any similarities to playing the piano versus playing with the script and voicing? Especially since you've worked on your voice. Are there some aspects of that, either technical or in the artist side?
Practice. That is key. Read over a script as many times as it takes, if you have the time, obviously, to be comfortable with it. I know in some cases you don't have enough time to do that in this kind of work, but if you have the time, take it and familiarize yourself with the work to the point where you're very comfortable with it, to where it's like you can speak it rather than have to read it. If you can speak it somewhat conversationally, depending on the topic of what you are describing, obviously, that's when I know that I've hit my sweet spot with a script, that I'm comfortable with it. And that kind of goes the same thing for my piano. I teach myself by ear. So I listen to a piece of music and I become very familiar with it. And then I'm able to go through and pick out note by note, measure by measure what the piece is. And that's kind of how I feel my way along with audio description as well. I read the script and then I kind of listen to myself speaking it. I will view the trailers or whatever I'm working on at the time. I will view the trailers, obviously, without any description. So I kind of get a feel for where things are supposed to go. And then I'm able to, I feel like I have a better rhythm, a better presentation of what I'm actually speaking when I get to it.
Very cool answer. And when you talk about the familiarity, the comfort that you have in your piano playing and also reviewing the script for audio description, I'm curious if we could talk about going into the uncharted, going into the unfamiliar territory, maybe something that was uncomfortable that you're really proud of how you overcame that within the work of the audio description. You've named a few examples. Is there anything else that you could share in that context?
The film, I know I've mentioned the film, but that was completely uncharted territory for me. I was scared starting it. I was very nervous because I had to deliver a product and I was so afraid of I hold myself to very high standards in almost everything I do. And I was very afraid of not reaching that bar, not necessarily the bar that those that I was working with had set for me, but the bar that I'd set for myself. That's what I was more worried about, was kind of disappointing myself. And I didn't. I followed through and I gave grade A performance, in my opinion. And I'm very proud of it.
That's great to hear. Kate, where would you love to see audio description headed if you could have your dream world?
Oh, wow. What a concept. If I could have my dream world about audio description, I would love to be able to turn on any channel, any time of the day on the television and have whatever is on there, commercials included, audio described. Because that's the world that everyone else has. So it's the world that blind people should have too. They should have the access. I think in movie theaters, all trailers should be described. None of them are. Everything deserves audio description, whether it be a commercial for McDonald's. It would still be nice for everybody to know exactly what's going on the screen. So even something that may seem trivial like that, can be a very big deal. Something that I've noticed is commercials that have no speaking, no dialogue in them, can be very off-putting for the blind community. Because how are the blind community supposed to know what is going on the screen? So any kind of commercial that has no actual dialogue in it, that is effectively wasted on the blind community. That company that made that commercial has missed out on an entire population. And that's something that bothers me about the lack of access.
How can people reach you?
I am on Facebook. I am Katie Ray, Caity, space Ray. You can also find me at adcomrade.com.
Thanks again, Kate, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.